morning. I will now call to order this regular meeting of the Board of Lane County Commissioners, the first for 2025. Today is Tuesday, January 7th. Welcome to everyone who's joining us here in Harris Hall and anyone who might be watching online. Our first order of business is to see if there are any adjustments to the agenda. To the administrator? No. Seeing none. To the board? None requested. The next item is the presentation of gavel to the current board chair.
Chair, this is a great honor that I enjoy seeing us do as a board. It's something that we've done for decades, and I wanted to do something for you that was personal. You have some heritage that you've shared with me, that your parents and your grandparents were from a Jewish heritage, so I wanted to just bestow a blessing upon you before we give this to you. How full of blessing you are, Eternal One, our God, Majesty of the universe, who has consecrated us with your commands and commanded us to occupy ourselves with the needs of the community. So I want to say that we offer a heartfelt thanks to you as a blessing to Lori Trieger, Commissioner and Chair of the Lane County Board of Commissioners, for a passionate service, unwavering dedication to the people of Lane County. And as Chair, you have displayed a commitment to detail and thoroughness and have guided this board admirably during the year of 2024. And this board thanks you for your leadership and your tireless efforts in building a stronger community as the leader to the people we serve. And I want to say one more quote. Napoleon Bonaparte said something that I thought was very fitting today. He said that a leader is a dealer in hope. So I put this blessing upon you that you'll continue to be a dealer of hope in our community. So thank you very much for your service.
Well, thank you. Thank
you. Oh, and I have one more thing. Personal.
Oh.
You tend to be very sharp when you have tea, so I bought you lots of tea so you continue to stay very sharp. Okay. So there you go.
Right. Well, I'm teed up for the new year.
There you go.
Thank you. Appreciate that. That's very kind. Thank you. Well, as the Vice Chair said, this is something we do each year, is the passing of the gavel. And then the next two items of business are the elections. Each of us has stood for election before tens of thousands of voters. This is an election just amongst the 5 peers. And so the first item is electing a chair, and then we will have the chair after the election, conduct the elections for the vice chair, and then continue with our regular business. So with that, I would look for any motions for who might serve in the chair position for this coming year. Commissioner Buck.
Thank you, Chair. Over the break, I actually thought a lot about what kind of person makes sense to be in the chair position. And what kind of traits make a good chair, because you've been a wonderful chair this year, thank you. And part of those traits is, somebody with a calm demeanor, somebody who understands Robert's Rules of Order, knows to speak last after everybody's had a chance to speak, treats our presenters and staff with the highest amount of respect. And I know in traditional order, it's generally been the vice chair moves on to the chair position, but that hasn't always been the case, including in recent years. And we haven't had a rural commissioner in the chair position for 5 years since I was chair 5 years ago. And so for those reasons, I would like to nominate Commissioner Seneca for chair.
Thank you. There's a nomination for Commissioner Seneca on the floor. Is there a second? No. Seeing none, motion dies for lack of a second. Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Buck, for your comments. With that, I would accept any other nominations for the chair position for 2025. Commissioner Seneca.
Yes. Thank you, Commissioner Buck. I appreciate it. I truly do. But I would like to nominate Vice Chair Lovell to be chair. I think he did an outstanding job as your backup and was always there for you. So that's my nomination.
Nomination on the floor for Vice Chair Lovell to become the chair. Is there a second to that nomination?
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Seneca and seconded by Commissioner Farr to elect David Lovell to chair position. Is there any discussion to the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please signify with an aye.
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 Any opposed?
Nay.
Nay. Motion carries 3-2. Congratulations.
Thank you, Chair.
You are now the chair. Do you want to do the whole thing, or do you want to just switch our signs? And
We can switch later. Let's
Okay.
do that later. We'll just switch later.
All right, well.
Thank you very much for that
We will put you
vote
there
of
because-
confidence and appointment to the chair. Our position as commissioners is to serve the community, and that's what we're dedicated to do, myself included. The next item of business is to elect a vice chair. And so as the newly elected chair, I'd like to open the nominations for vice chair. Any nominations on the floor? Commissioner Farr,
I'll nominate Commissioner Seneca.
any seconds to that? Let's
All second.
Good. All right. We have a first and a second to nominate Commissioner Seneca as the new vice chair. Any discussion to the motion? Yes.
I appreciate the nomination, and I'm just disappointed. We've had a lot of conversation on this board about the importance of equity and diversity and inclusion and opportunity to present a more representative board and perspective. I'm sorry, I was a little caught off guard. I would really like to have seen Commissioner Buck, and I just want to honor the fact that she has served on this board for quite some time, and it would have been nice to pair a little bit more of a seasoned commissioner. So I just wanted to express that and give some consideration to my vote.
All right. Any other comments? Yes, Commissioner Farr.
I'd just like people to historically look at the chair, vice chair, how that's happened over the last 20 years, and see the progressions that have happened over the last 20 years. And there's not a regular steady progression by any stretch of the imagination. But generally speaking, we do try to spread the chair out among the different commissioners, and I think that the reason I nominated Commissioner Seneca, Commissioner Seneca will be entering his third year as a commissioner. He is indeed a rural commissioner and has served his district and Lane County very well.
Thank you. Any other comments? We have a motion on the floor for Commissioner Seneca to be the vice chair of the Lane County Board of County Commissioners. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you, Commissioner Seneca. Would like to switch chairs, please? I'd like to move to the right. Commissioner Seneca, I think would like to be here.
It's disquieting.
Although it's cold, I might not need this. Want to switch chairs too? Okay, you got yours all the same? All right, sounds good. All right, onwards to the business of Lane County. Thank you very much for coming to Lane County, those who have came in the Parasol, and for our commissioners for being so faithful at their service. Next item on our agenda is any emergency business. Mr. Mokryski, do we have any emergency business?
We do not.
Thank you, sir. And the next item on our agenda is the public comments. Those people who had signed up for public comments in Harris Hall can do so at the table in the back. We're taking in the order of the sign-up sheet. Please, when you come forward, state your name for the record. Be cognizant that you have 3 minutes to state your public comment, and keep an eye on the timer that will be on the board up here. Also, be in mind that in fairness, we'll politely stop you at 3 minutes like we can every person, so that each person has an equal amount of time to do their public comment. We, as board and myself, are supportive of your First Amendment rights, but we also want to make sure that people are kind and considerate and respectful in these forums, that we have space for public comment. So first person on for public comment would be Terry Morgan. Am I reading that right? Okay, Terry, you're up on first public comment, and on deck is David Eigel after her. Please state your name and go for it.
Thank you, Commissioners. My name is Terry Morgan Uri. I'm the Program Director of Springfield Treatment Center and Eugene Treatment Center. We would like to thank you for your continued support of our efforts to address and treat opioid addiction in Lane County. As reports continue to come out showing that rates of homelessness are increasing, overdose statistics continue to be staggering, and the effects of untreated addiction are seen and felt by most residents, business owners, and visitors to Lane County, Springfield and Eugene treatment centers continue to strive to keep up with and meet the need in our area. After garnering your unanimous support in opening the first brick-and-mortar medication unit in the state of Oregon in downtown Eugene, we are thrilled to report we have consistently been admitting new clients over the last 10 months and now have a census of over 300 clients at that location alone. A very high percentage of these individuals have engaged in treatment for the first time or are returning to treatment years after their last attempt at recovery. By being able to offer low-barrier, easy access to treatment with same-day admissions, we are able to reach more people and aid in connecting individuals to resources along with stabilizing their active substance use by providing comprehensive medication-assisted treatment, complex substance use counseling treatment, and integrated co-occurring disorder treatment to address their needs in substance use and mental health. Our data shows that increasing access to treatment directly increases the number of individuals that seek and engage in treatment. Our rapid growth downtown has led us to the realization that additional access to treatment is needed in our community. While we have no intention of moving from our current downtown location, presently we are looking to secure additional space that will help us to continue to increase access to treatment, cut down on travel times for our clients, reduce traffic downtown, and have enough space to potentially provide additional services beyond our current offerings. After identifying our proposed additional location, we conducted outreach to the neighboring businesses and are thrilled to report that we were met with positivity and outright relief that we intend to provide these much-needed services to this area. Business owners expressed frustration and concern over their day-to-day struggles with vagrancy, potential overdoses, and concern for their staff's well-being and business operations. They were all extremely thankful for what we do and expressed gratitude for the possibility of having medical and clinical staff on site and security trained in addressing overdoses and issues related to active use nearby. With this warm reception at our proposed location and the clear benefits of adding additional access to medication-assisted treatment and counseling services to the area, we're grateful for your consideration in approving the waiver request on your agenda for today so we can continue to serve our community in the best way possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry, very much. Next up is David Eigel, and after David Eigel will be Michael Wilson.
Happy New Year, David Eigel. Today is the 88th anniversary of the death of Professor Dunn, a great Oregonian. As I recently said to the U of O trustees at their Portland meeting, there's no longer anything to debate about. I've documented the U of O Dunn report as complete nonsense. When repeatedly asked to provide copies of what President Scholz's administration has called incontrovertible evidence that Dunn was the local Klan leader, they failed to produce anything. This is understandable in that such evidence doesn't exist. All the evidence relates only to the first year of the local chapter's existence. Upon careful examination, the evidence documents that the crooked fraternal order salesmen were lying to prospects and telling them that the prestigious and widely respected Professor Dunn was the head of their chapter so that they could trick them into buying memberships. I will be contacting each of you seeking support in ways of clearing up this Michael Schill fraud promotion. Had the report narrative been authentic, Fleming, who served while president of the U of O as chairman of the National Council of Churches and was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom by President Clinton, would have knowingly asked the Oregon State Board of Higher Education to honor a known racist and religious bigot. The following extracts from the U of O yearbook reveal the strong civil rights supporting atmosphere of the U of O in the fall of 1962 when Dunn Hall was dedicated. We have a Japanese American from Hood River chosen as the homecoming queen. Quote, this year's Charter Day became a moment of dedication to the future university, commemorating the 100th anniversary of the Emancipation Proclamation, a document that took on added importance with the coinciding Mississippi crisis. This year's Charter Day gave all the opportunity to reaffirm those principles that inspired the founding of the university in 1866 1876. Civil rights, too, became an object of much reflection. Civil rights theme boosts Charter Day interest. Highlighting the colorful proceedings was James DeBritt, president of Howard University. Mr. DeBritt emphasized that it has been 100 years since the signing of the Emancipation Proclamation, and still Negroes do not have equal rights. He strongly believed that integration is a test of the actual meaning of liberty and equality in the United States. And Duke Ellington charms the homecoming crowd in the evening. The Duke takes out a few minutes during admission to charm a few admirers at the Saturday night dance. Thank you for your attention in this matter.
Thank you, sir. Michael Wilson would be the final person in Harris Hall unless anyone has come in after the sign-up sheet, and anyone online would be after. Go ahead, sir.
Hello, thank you so much. My name is Michael Wilson. I live in District 4 in Eugene, in the Whitaker neighborhood. I would like to just very briefly speak to my appreciation and to urge the continued support of diversity and inclusion efforts made by both this board as well as Lane County generally. I speak on behalf of many of my very close friends, loved ones, and fellow neighbors within District 4 who feel safe and encouraged by the efforts made by both this board as well as Lane County towards diversity, equity, and inclusion. I know a lot of the work that has already been done, the progress that has been made, including recognizing Pride Month, recognizing multicultural initiatives such as Juneteenth, such as Black History Month. I think all of these have done great to restore trust within our community and within District 4 specifically. I would think this is a time where a lot of trust is being eroded within our neighbors and within our community. I would like to urge this board to continue to push towards those efforts and to stay the course. We are all engaged community members. We're listening. We want to make sure that we have the trust and the support of our government behind us. And I would like to continue just to urge this support from all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mike. Anyone else in Harris Hall want to give public testimony? If not, Jessica, is there anyone online that would like to give public testimony that's online?
For those of us joining us virtually, if you would like to give public comment at this meeting, please raise your virtual hand. And Chair, I see one hand raised. Our speaker is Gina Savage. Gina, would you like to be on camera?
Yes, please. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. I am promoting you to panelist. And Gina, it looks like you have landed. You're ready to start your camera and your public comment.
Wonderful. Thank you. Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Gina Savage, and I live in Junction City in District 1, which is represented by Commissioner Senega. I've lived here for 7 years now and have lived in Lane County for over 20 years since I was a child, and I'm speaking today to advocate for equity-focused efforts in Lane County. Wanted to share a little bit about my family. My husband and I are both full-time workers, and my husband is, he works in the blue-collar field like you, Commissioner Senega, as an electrician. We are also both foster parents to two beautiful, amazing girls. And I wanted to speak to you today, Commissioners, as a parent. Becoming a foster parent has given me a firsthand account of why exactly Lane County's values of equity and respect are so important. And I wanted to share two of those accounts with you today. First, I myself grew up with a dad who was Spanish speaking and faced difficulties in navigating and building trust with housing, health, and social support systems. The same barrier is clear in my own girls' lives as well, as their family faces the same struggles with these systems. County programs still need improvements in language accessibility and in building trust with those families of various cultures. We also have another language and culture that we account for each and every day. As my oldest has a cleft palate and is hard of hearing, she uses both English and sign language to interact with education and healthcare systems through sign language interpreters. She is thriving at Lane County's Deaf and Hard of Hearing program at Aubrey Park Elementary School, where education is more accessible to her through sign language interpreters. And she is building trust in a community that represents her and empowers her in those educational pursuits. Through witnessing my girls' childhood and also reflecting on my own, I've really began to understand what equity looks like when it's present and what it does not look like when it's not present. it is clear to me that if there are not bilingual, bicultural services available in Lane County programs serving families, that my girls will not have the same opportunities as those coming from English-speaking families. If there are no sign language interpreters or representation of deaf culture, my oldest will not get the same education or medical care as a child who does not have this disability. My girls are not the only children in Lane County. As you know, there are over 65,000 children in Lane County as of 2023. Their culture, language, and disabilities and abilities are important to them. And the supports that you make available to them today will influence how they grow up and give back and participate in the community that you serve. I urge you to continue to support equity efforts and decisions that come across your desk this year. And I'm committed to watching and holding this board accountable for how you deliver on Lane County's values of equity and respect. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for your public comment. Is there anyone else online that would like to have public comment or in Harris Hall before we cease? If not, thank you very much for your public, I'm sorry?
I'm sorry, Chair, I see no other hands raised.
Great,
I'll return it to you.
Thank you, Jessica, I appreciate that very much. If not, commissioners, this is our chance for some remonstrances or comments. Anyone want to lead off the comments? Commissioner Buck.
Thank you. Very much appreciate all the speakers today, including Gina. That was really wonderful to hear those personal stories, and I'm deeply committed to the equity programs here at the county, so I hope to see us progress throughout the year on those items as well. One other thing I wanted to mention, and I'll probably keep mentioning it until it happens, is on January 30th, we're having the grand opening of the Lazy Days Mobile Home Park up in Blue River, which is going to be a big deal. A lot of effort went into that, many years of very hard work from the Homes for Good team. And there will be a bus full of folks going up there, and I would invite all the commissioners to attend. I know we'd have to publicly notice that, but we did put a lot of effort into that as well as a Homes for Good team. And it would be wonderful to see a great showing. Thank you, Chair.
Commissioner Seneca.
Yeah, do we have a time on that, Commissioner Buck?
Yeah, so we have a bus that leaves at 1. However, I believe it's going to start at 2:30 or 3. And I'll nail that down and send the personal invite to everybody as well.
Got it, thank you. In the notes. Thank you, everybody, for coming and online. Terry, excuse me, what great news. You hit on a couple of things that I think we all up here really appreciate. Stabilizing, if anybody watched the State of the County yesterday, Commissioner Trieger hit on the stabilization center we're looking for. I mean, I think we all agree that that's the direction we need to head, and counseling. I mean, this is for long-term solutions. So appreciate everything you're doing for that. Mr. Wilson, you perfect neighborhood to come and talk about inclusion. The WIT. It's my wife and I's favorite place to come and visit. You know, it's close to Junction City, and you are correct. Everybody is included. You know, and I think it's a testament to why the neighborhood is thriving to the level that it is. So yeah, thank you for coming. Ms. Savage, tell your husband to be safe for one. Sparkies have a tough job, a very dangerous job. And you know, thanks for talking about children and the inclusion that needs to be looked after. I'm as bad as Commissioner Farr is with Jerry's, but I'm very passionate about the school board work we do. And if you ever need help or run into any issues with that, please reach out. I would love to be of assistance. Thank you.
Commissioner Buck.
I'm just going to clarify the time. It's 2 o'clock.
2 o'clock. Good, thank you. Are those full? All those residences full now?
If they're not 100% full, they will be very shortly because they have to all apply. And then there are additional spaces that we'll be putting in park models that will come later in a second phase.
Awesome.
Thank you. Again, good morning, everyone. Thank you for public comment. It's always great to hear what's on people's minds. Terry, thank you for your work. When we get to the item, I'll have a little more to say about it, but I think you know I'm very supportive. And I just wanted to flag for folks an upcoming event a little sooner than the 30th. This Saturday at 2 o'clock at the Eugene City Hall is a legislative town hall with our, I believe the full delegation is participating. And State of the County was referenced. I mentioned in my remarks the importance of good collegial partnership with our state legislators. So this will be an opportunity to hear from them before they begin their session the following Monday. So just encourage folks who are watching, who want to hear what's sort of on deck and what our Lane County delegation has in mind for the bills that they're sponsoring and the work that they want to put forward, and any of my colleagues who want to attend in service to building those strong relationships or further strengthening existing relationships. It'll be a great opportunity to meet with the delegation and the community this Saturday.
Commissioner Farr.
Thank you, Chair. You know, Mr. Wilson, good to see you here this morning. I want to point out the WHIT is my district. It has became about 3 years ago, became part of North Eugene. Prior to that, I represented the WHIT when I was a state representative. It was a part of House District 14 at the time. As a Eugene City Councilor, I did not. So I'm back representing the WHIT again. I love the area. My first encounter with the WHIT in detail was in 1995-96 when we passed the mixed-use zoning for the WHIT, which allowed a lot of the mixed-use, for instance, Ninkasi and others would not have been allowed in that area prior to the mixed-use zoning that passed. Now, that's a long time ago now, but it seemed very monumental at the time. And what's happened in the WHIT, I worked at Gray's Garden Centers for quite some time, and what's happened in the WHIT is it's become a really viable place to do business, to enjoy yourself, and to live. And it really is a wonderful place. You know, when you drive down there, don't know how often people drive down there or walk down there. The pedestrian traffic in the WHIT is about as strong as any place, including downtown. And it really is testimonial to how much is going on there. And you brought up equity. And equity is a very strong issue for this entire Board of County Commissioners. I'd like to point out to anyone listening that next week, I've not seen next week's agenda yet, but in the last board meeting that we had, I asked for, and it was supported unanimously by this board, a presentation on Lane County and our future role as federal government changes and as other changes happen. What is Lane County? How are we going to specifically address equity issues? That's the general term that I'm using. Covers a lot more than that regarding, for instance, gender-affirming medication and other issues that are in question right now. And I believe that it's going to be on next Tuesday's agenda. I've not seen the agenda yet because I'm not on that team that sets the agenda. But keep an eye on that because we're going to have a discussion. I'm not sure the breadth of it, but it will really be a step into the future for a unanimity on this Board of County Commissioners, which I'm hoping to achieve regarding our strong position, our leadership position in defining how counties can address equity issues. So look for that next Tuesday. And the other thing I'd like to point out is that I've got a list of what then Chair Trieger talked about yesterday. Is this list right here with bullet points. And a number of things that, wonderful things that happened last year. One thing that is really fantastic is the EPA grant that we're receiving, $19.4 million. And Mr. Mokrycki, I've not seen the update on where we are in actually receiving that. We're all moving forward with what it's going to do, and we're excited about the hub in Bethel, for instance. But I wonder if sometime, maybe by next meeting, you could provide a report on where are we with that, as far as getting it approved and getting the payments from the EPA into the system so we can begin actually firmly planning it. And lots of things we talked about yesterday, Lori, that I would love to talk about more, but maybe in subsequent meetings. Thank you.
Great. Yes, thank you all for coming. There's been a lot of talk about equity lately, and certainly I think just as a blanket statement from my position is every single commissioner on this board has some sense of equity within their family or their generation where they've touched multiple different arenas of equity groups. Myself included, having a black son, Commissioner Farr, I know you've got a very diverse family, and Commissioner Trieger and Buck, you know, you have diverse families in your past as well. So I think as a board, we're very dedicated to making sure that our commitment to equity is stellar and solid. So I wanted to say that, and thank you for bringing that to our attention and continue making us accountable. Michael, I think you said you were going to hold us accountable, so I appreciate you doing that. Terry, I love what you're doing, and what I think I really appreciate most, even that tour you gave to me back in the day last year sometime when I was touring the Springfield facility, which was a great organization. You guys are doing a great job. And it's in a spot where it could be noticed, but it tends to be innocuous. I mean, so people that have those kind of reservations, that people who run businesses like this or businesses that are in places that might stick out or be like a sore thumb in the neighborhood, you guys don't operate that kind of business, and I think that's really appreciative in the community. Not only, too, that you said in your 3 minutes that the surrounding businesses were glad to see you coming to the neighborhood. So we welcome you to the neighborhood, and when that item comes up for decisions, I'm sure you'll be pleased with where we go with that. And so, having said that, we move on to our next item on the consent calendar, which is the consent calendar. These are items considered routine business and acted by one motion. Any commissioner, for any reason, can examine separately an item by pulling it from the consent calendar for further discussion. Included in this block of topics is also the previous meeting minutes, which last couple of weeks people have asked me where they were, and I had to remind them about where they were. So the public, that's where they are. The details of which are in the view link material that can be accessed by our website if you want any more information on those topics that are in the consent calendar. So I'd like to propose a motion to approve the consent calendar. Vice Chair?
Chair, I have a motion. I move to approve the consent calendar for January 7th, 2025.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. That's been moved by Vice Chair to approve the consent calendar for Tuesday, January 7th, 2025, and seconded by Commissioner Trieger. All those, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Thank you very much. All right, moving right along, we have our first item of a decision that we need to make as well on the Public Works, item number 7. This is 2 items that were broken apart, and I believe that Commissioner Buck would like the floor at this point.
Yes, thank you, Chair. For item 7A, Order 25-01-07-13, I'm going to declare conflict of interest as this involves St. Vincent de Paul. I'm related to the Executive Director Emeritus, who is still employed with that company, and for that reason, I'm going to recuse myself. And because of requirements on recusal, I will exit, but I will need to come in and make the same exact declaration before you begin item 7B and recuse as well. So at this point, I'll go in the hallway, and if somebody could let me in shortly thereafter, and I'll do it again.
Getting our steps in for the morning. Thank you for that. All right, this order number 25010713 is being brought to us by none other than Jeff Orlandini from our Waste Management Department. Good morning, Jeff.
Thank you. Good morning. I was hoping to be able to be done before she got out of the room, but I don't think I can be that quick. So this is a renewal, essentially, of a contract with St. Vincent de Paul to provide our appliance recycling services, and in particular, those appliances that contain refrigerants. And so it's a very valuable service that ensures that these materials, these refrigerants, aren't going to landfill or escaping in the atmosphere, but being treated appropriately. And then St. Vincent de Paul is able to recycle the remaining metal. I do want to note that one of the great things about this is it pays for itself, this contract. So while it is a large number, folks are charged for these materials as they come in, that basically covers the cost that we're charged by St. Vincent de Paul to do this. And so we've had this contract multiple times over the years. We go out as appropriate to get responses to this, and then have selected St. Vincent de Paul. And so that's really all I have on that. I'm happy to entertain any questions.
Any questions for Jeff? Commissioner Buck, or Farr, excuse me.
Thank you. What a wonderful thing this is. I often go to Bolton Hill and see the refrigerators, mostly refrigerators that are being recycled there. And you always wonder where those go if St. Vincent doesn't come and get them. Well, they go into Short Mountain and become a part of the future generation to take care of. So it really is a wonderful contract, particularly some of the elements in the old fridges. Just out of curiosity, are any other recyclers taking care of refrigerators, et cetera, other than St. Vincent de Paul?
Not that I'm aware of locally.
Yeah.
Obviously, this happens in other places across the state, but I think we're very lucky to have a local provider to do this so that we're not shipping them across the state and able to do that locally. But they're the only ones I know locally that provide this service in this manner.
And I knew that, so I was throwing you a softball. But really, it is an illustration of the wonderful job that St. Vincent de Paul, and it's not just on refrigerators, mattresses, for instance, the other things that would end up in our landfill, choking our landfill, and we're doing every single thing that we can to make sure that Short Mountain lasts generations into the future. At the current rate, it wouldn't, but we're doing everything that we can, and I really appreciate the fact that we are not aggressive, but continually, consistently working with St. Vincent de Paul to keep things out of the landfill. Thank you.
Any other questions? I just have one quick one, just a curiosity question, Jeff. On R22, we're almost at the end of that. We're seeing a lot of that, those off the grid. Are we seeing any more of that anymore, so people need to worry about that anymore?
We're seeing decreases in it, I think what you're getting at. I think what we're focused on is what do we do with the new generation of materials that come in that, often we come up with a new solution and we don't think about how we dispose of that new solution. So RV refrigerators are an example of ones that don't use that same material, but also have a problematic material that you don't necessarily want to put in the landfill as well. So we started to see that decrease, not in huge numbers, I think because these tend to be refrigerators and they last a long time. So I do think we'll see a lot of them continue to come in before we see the new material take over, if that's what you're getting at with that.
Good. Thank you for that. Appreciate that. Didn't want to dig into the weeds, but thank you. All right, we have an order before us. Looking for a motion?
Chair, I have a motion. I move to approve Order 25-01-07-13, approving a contract with St. Vincent de Paul of Lane County, Inc., and delegating authority to the county administrator to execute the contract and expense in the amount of $350,000.
There's a second.
I'll second.
Thank you. There's been a motion made to approve Order 25-01-07-13 by Commissioner Senega and seconded by Commissioner Trieger in the matter of approving contract with St. Vincent de Paul of Lane County and delegating the authority of the county administrator to execute the contract in the amount of $350,000. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Point of order, Chair, you should just ask if there's any discussion of the motion before calling for the vote.
Thank you. Is there any discussion to the motion?
Yes. I just point out that we've lived in our current house for 27 years now. And when we moved into the house, there was a fridge in there. And a couple of years later, we bought a new fridge, put it in the garage, and it's still running. In the meantime, we've replaced the fridge in the house 3 times. So we're recycling appliances at a much greater rate than before. So that really illustrates how important this particular service is.
All right. Location, 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 apparently with the refrigerators. We'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Thank you. Order number 25-01-07-13 passes 4-0 with Commissioner Buck recused. Let's call her back in. She's coming in. Great.
Two.
Commissioner Buck, you have the floor.
All right. Are we on
On item B.
item B? Great. So for item 7B, Order 25-01-07-14, this is again a transaction with St. Vincent de Paul of Lane County, and I'm going to declare conflict of interest as I am related to the Executive Director Emeritus of this company, and this involves a financial transaction. So for that reason, I will recuse myself and step out again.
All right, thank you. All right, Mr. Orlandini, you're back up for item 7B.
All right, so I want to start by just saying how excited I am that we will not have this contract come before you again because mattresses are now allowed to be disposed of at the Glenwood Transfer Station for free. That started this month, and that's due to the statewide mattress recycling law that went into effect. And so we handle mattresses the same way at all our other transfer stations, but at Glenwood, instead of having customers pay to recycle that item, they are now able to do that for free, and St. Vincent de Paul continues to process those. So it's a very exciting move for us. That being said, what's before you today is essentially to make us whole on our contract with St. Vincent de Paul, because what's difficult about these contracts is we make our best guess at estimating how much of this material is going to come in, not really knowing over a few years how much will. So essentially what this means is we recycled more than we estimated. We took in more revenue because it was a charge item, and then we owe more to St. Vincent de Paul. So this essentially is to close out that contract, pay them for the services rendered, and then we're able to start taking that material for free.
Wonderful. Any questions for Jeff? Seeing none, looking for a motion, Vice
Chair, I
Chair.
have a motion. I move to approve Order 25-01-07-14, approving a contract amendment with St. Vincent de Paul of Lane County, Inc., and delegating authority to the county administrator to execute the approved amendment expense in the amount of $90,000.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. It's been moved by Vice Chair, order number 25010714, matter of approving contract amendment with St. Vincent de Paul Lane County, Inc., and delegating authority to the county administrator to execute the approved amendment in the expense of $90,000, and seconded by Commissioner Buck. Is there any discussion to the motion? Trieger, sorry. Commissioner Trieger, any discussion to the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, signify with an aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No, it moves 4-0 with Commissioner Buck recused. We can call her back in. Jeff, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good to see that we won't see mattresses anymore. Great job. That brings us to the next item on our agenda. Item number 8, Health and Human Services, 8A, in the matter of waiving restrictions of ORS and talking about our recovery treatment that we heard so much about in public comments. And we have our Eve Gray, Director of Health and Human Services, with us. Go ahead, Eve.
Thank you. So this is a request which is allowed by the local public health authority to waive a requirement that treatment centers be at least 1,000 feet from a variety of different types of businesses. The one of concern here is childcare. The way that the rule is written for the state of Oregon is that the distance is as the crow flies. And for this particular treatment center, it's about 950 feet as the crow flies between a whole bunch of businesses' backyards to the child care facility property line. The buildings are actually farther than 1,000 feet apart, but the property lines are about 950 feet apart. If you were to actually go from one to the other, it would be more than 1,000 feet away by road, either walking or driving. So we feel that this is really addressing a technicality and is still meeting the intent of being 1,000 feet apart. So staff is recommending approval of this waiver.
Awesome. Any questions for Eve? Yes, Commissioner Trieger.
Thank you. Not a question for Eve so much as I just want to amplify the importance and encourage my colleagues who I think are supportive, but I just want to mention Terry and her organization were before us for a waiver previously, which we granted, and then she was able to speak to some of the successes that the treatment center has achieved in their current location that they're just frankly outgrowing. And it's my understanding that one of the reasons they sought a new location, but specifically in this area, is because they did a very careful census of their client base and found that I think it's more than half or about half, is that right, of the clients currently using the downtown site for which we provided a waiver previously come from a zip code that would indicate this is going to be even more convenient and therefore easier for people to maintain their treatment. I will also say I drove by the site, and as the crow flies, yes, but it is, I mean, you would have to cross busy roads and go around buildings. It is nowhere near, even though as the crow flies, it indicates it's that near childcare, and that this is a small in-home provider. It's not a center with a lot of activity. So I just want to, one, put my plug in and appreciation for everything and anything we can do to continue to support Oregon Treatment Centers in meeting this really important need of medication-assisted treatment for addiction in our community, but also, think about, it's a state law, but at some point in the future, maybe thinking about how we might approach some of our delegation about whether these kinds of restrictions are really still relevant and are just creating more barriers to treatment versus actually creating any increased community safety. So I just wanted to put that out there on the record. I said similar things when this matter was before us on the other site, but I do think it's just time for some of our laws to catch up with how we've stigmatized certain kinds of medical care and who's impacted by people accessing treatment. Thank you.
Comments? Anyone else? Yes, Commissioner Seneca.
Yes, I'll just say that I'll be supporting this also. Ms. Gray, thank you for coming. And, you know, decisions like this is why we're here. I mean, it just makes sense. And even though that is a rule or a law, we will hopefully be issuing a waiver for it, so, or exceptions. Thank you.
Any other discussion? If not, looking for a motion.
Chair,
Commissioner Trieger?
Yeah, I'd like to make
You
a
make
motion.
motion, you
if
go
I
ahead.
could, please.
Go ahead.
I'd like to move approval of Order 25-01-07-15 in the matter of waiving the restrictions of ORS 430.590, 1 through 3, for Oregon Recovery and Treatment Centers, LLC, at the location of 990 Garfield Street, to be used as a methadone clinic in accordance with ORS 430.590, parenthesis 4.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Trieger and seconded by Commissioner Farr in the order 25010715 in the matter of waiving the restrictions of ORS 430.590, 1 through 3 for Oregon Recovery and Treatment Centers, LLC, at the location of 990 Garfield Street, to be used as a methadone clinic in accordance with ORS 430.594. Any discussion of the motion? If not, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you very much. Very good. Eve, you have, I think, one more. Nope. You have one more? Yes?
I do.
You do. That's why you haven't moved. Let's go to 9B. Go ahead, Eve.
So this is a contract item. Most of these contracts and revenue agreements are pretty standard, but I wanted to take a moment to call out a first-of-its-kind grant, which came to us from the Health Resources and Services Administration, or HRSA. That is the agency that funds our federally qualified health center. And this is a grant for us to provide transition of care services to people who are incarcerated in our local jail. So we are going to hire a nurse case manager, 2 peers, and a half FTE of an office assistant who will be working with individuals. Unfortunately, this grant limits us to working with folks who are post-sentencing, so we can't do pretrial detention until our 1115 waiver goes into effect, but it's going to get us ready to go in figuring out our systems within the jail, how we interact with people who are incarcerated, how we build trust in a rapid way, and develop a care plan, not just for health care, which we will have rapid access into our federally qualified health center for people exiting the jail, but also for other types of social services and needs that individuals have during this very vulnerable time. So our sheriff's office has always been very forward-thinking, and of course, you mentioned in the state of the county yesterday, Commissioner Trieger, the partnership with Emergence, which is still going to be essential for those who are in pretrial detention and exiting the facility, but now we're actually taking a step into the jail and able to meet with people during the time they're incarcerated to create a plan for success once they're released. So we're really excited about this work and this ability to be partnering with law enforcement in another way. You know, we're doing it with mobile crisis, we're doing it with the stabilization center. Here's another way that we can partner to help bring folks in the criminal justice system on a path toward a healthy future.
Wonderful. Commissioner Farr.
Thank you. You know, this is a really exciting moment in time, really, because it does illustrate the partnership between Health and Human Services and Public Safety that we as a county have, because we do have a Health and Human Services Department, we do have a Public Safety Department, the Sheriff's Office, and bringing the services together to help the people who are really some of the most vulnerable and potentially vulnerable people in our community. I have as my 8th bullet point that Commissioner Trieger talked about yesterday, the emergence, in the emergence presence in the lobby of the jail as people are leaving the adult in custody phase of their life, never to come back, we hope. Emergence is one way that we do that, but this is a second way that we provide services as seamlessly as possible, both intake and outtake of the adulting custody system that we have. So it's marvelous. It's something cities can't do. Cities cannot do this. Counties do this. Thank you.
Comments? Yes, Commissioner?
I just have a quick question. I was thinking everything that Commissioner Farr said, but when you get to, when you're in the county jail with them, are they more agreeable to a plan because they're in a structured environment at that point? I mean, how's that work?
It depends. So for some folks, the point of arrest is the low point. It's a point when folks realize that they need to make changes in their lives. For some folks, any particular entry into the jail may not be that point for them. So it's a matter of offering the opportunity. This is why we are hiring 2 peers. These will be individuals who have a record. They've been through this, and they'll have a better opportunity to be able to make a connection with folks who are incarcerated and help them see an alternative future for themselves. What we identify in a lot of our programs, though, is that maybe the first time we offer services, sometimes people accept, sometimes they don't. But if we see them again and we offer again, or if we see them again and we offer again, that trust gets built over time through multiple consistent interactions. And eventually, most people shift to a point where they really do want to make a positive change. So the consistency will also be a part of it. We know that a lot of people cycle in and out of our jail. Again, unfortunately, in this early stage, we can't be addressing those folks in pretrial detention that are coming in and out, in and out, in and out. Though Emergence is also a partner with us in this grant, I will say I didn't mention that, as is Laurel Hill and Restored Connections Peer Recovery Center are all receiving funding to help us transition folks. So once Medicaid 1115 goes into effect, for youth, that's going to be on July 1st. For adults, we anticipate it being January 1st of 26. Then we'll be able to expand to the full population, pretrial detention included, and hopefully we'll have a really good mechanism in place. But that'll present a whole other challenge because folks may only be there for a few hours, And so how do you build the connection and the trust when the cycle goes so quickly? So it's all a learning process. It's intended to be. This is a pilot grant, and we're part of a national learning collaborative of health centers who are just figuring out how to do this all across the country.
Thank you. That's very exciting.
Any other comments? Yeah, the experience of people being in jail usually is a good decision point, and I think, the Sheriff's Department's been very frustrated with having seen the progress that they've made, only to see it thwarted by a few days out in the wild. They come back and they're doing the same thing. So I think this is a really great expansion to the positivity of trying to get people on the right track. So good thing. I'm excited for this. Looking for a motion on this order.
Chair, I have a motion. I move to approve Order 25010716 in the matter of approving contract actions with Oregon Housing and Community Services, Welski Corporation, U.S. Department of HUD, City of Eugene, City of Springfield, Health Resources and Services Administration, Upstream Public Health, Peace Health, Willamette Family, Inc., Shelter Care, Inc., Columbia Care, Lane Independent Living Alliance, and Lane Community Health Council, and delegating authority to the county administrator, their designee, or their sub-delegate to sign the approved actions.
A second. It's been moved by Vice Chair Senega and seconded by Commissioner Buck. Order number 25010716 in the matter of approving contract actions with Oregon Housing and Community Services, Welski Corporation, U.S. Department of HUD, City of Eugene, City of Springfield, Health Resources and Services Administration, Upstream Public Health, Peace Health, Willamette Family, Inc., Shelter Care, Inc., Columbia Care, Lane Independent Living Alliance, and Lane Community Health Council, and delegating the authority to the county administrator, their designee or sub-delegate to sign the approved actions. I call for the vote. All those in favor? Oops.
Point of order.
We're discussion to the motion, sorry. I thought after all that, we'd discuss it, after all that verbiage. Any discussion to the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify with an aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you very much. Appreciate it very much. All right, our next item is number 9, County Administration. We have just a couple of things that Jessica, I guess we call her our board wrangler. Is that what we call her? Is that her official title? That has got our committees assigned that.
Impossible task.
Impossible task person, yeah. There's a number of appointed liaisons in various committees that the board members have divvied up, and typically these change one-on-one if commissioners want to talk to each other behind closed doors and swap committees, or if new commissioners come on board. So we haven't had that happen in this last year. So I'm looking for, firstly, the discussion of Order 25010717 and appointing liaisons to various committees and agencies. Is there any discussion open? Jessica, do you have anything for us you want to present?
Do not.
Would you be on mute by chance?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, good, thank you.
Thank you. I do not have any further to add.
Yes, Commissioner Farr.
Just a slight change. It hasn't quite made it to this list yet. The Mental Health Advisory Local Alcohol Drug Planning Committee is now also the Developmental Disability Services Committee. Advisory Committee. So that was mandated as a part of that committee's charge.
Okay, duly noted, thank you. All right, so if there's any changes, we can discuss those now. If not, we could just reapprove those as an order proposed in front of us. Any discussion on that matter? If not, I'm looking for a motion.
Sure, I have a motion. I move to approve Order 25010717 in the matter of appointing liaisons to various committees and agencies.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved by Vice Chair Seneca and seconded by Commissioner Trieger. Order number 25010717 in the matter of appointing liaisons to various committees and agencies. Let me just note too, for those that are watching on our website, these agencies and listings are listed on our website if you'd like to know which commissioner is in charge of which agency. Is there any discussion to that motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Passes 5-0. Thank you very much. Item 9B is a slightly different item. It's another agency and various committee agency list. It's the non-mandated committee positions. Any discussion to those or any swapping we want to do? Any trading, like draft day? We lived in a very different world 10 minutes ago. Yes, Commissioner Buck.
I don't have any changes. I'm fine with the committees I'm on, but I just wanted to note for the board that the Housing Policy Board, which is a liaison committee with the city of Eugene, is really a defunct board. There's no meetings. It's not technically dissolved, although in my opinion it should be. But the city of Eugene also needs to initiate that, and they have yet to do that. So I would imagine that this particular board will technically dissolve, likely sometime this year. And I think they're trying to determine if they want to reincarnate a version of it for the city itself. But we have yet to hear back. So I just wanted to share that with the board.
Good, thank you for sharing that. Any other comments or discussion? Commissioner Farr?
Just to that, and it really is, that board historically has been very significant. Back in 95 and earlier, when the city of Springfield, city of Eugene, and Lane County participated very, very strongly. Actually, decisions came out of that board. John Van Landingham, of course, was chair or vice chair for many years. Norton Cabell was chair or vice chair for many years, and really drove a lot of decision making. I hope we can do something as far as a liaison between the two large cities in Lane County and Lane County for the metropolitan area. We do other things, most certainly, but that board, the work they used to do is kind of missing. We just don't have that anymore.
Any other comments? Okay, I'm looking for a motion.
Oh,
Sorry?
sorry, I just wanted to note that in the attachment, it didn't update from last year, because you're, Chair, you're on the Lane Workforce Partnership Board, and it has my name. But I just pressed the attachment of the materials.
I know Jessica emailed this around. So Jessica, I think the one you emailed all of us is correct, but the one that's uploaded to the website is the previous year's list, I think.
And I'm the rep for the LTD Strategic Planning Committee. So if the materials attached could be updated to their current version.
Yes, I can certainly take care of that. Thank you for bringing that to my attention.
Approve the current version.
Super. All right. Commissioner Farr.
Just a seed to be planted at this point in time. We've talked in the past about reports back from the meetings, so the entire Board of Commissioners can hear what is happening. In many cases, it's not a matter of action for the Board of County Commissioners, but many of the things that we do talk about in these meetings really are a part of the work that we do on a regular basis. So from time to time, I think it's appropriate that the representatives do present at least a minute or two on what it is that has happened in those particular boards. Look at the Poverty and Homelessness Board, for instance, which is also our a CIC, Community Involvement Committee. It's also our Community Advisory Committee and the Continuum of Care Committee, which distributes a great deal of money that comes down from the federal government. Now, the Board of Commissioners ultimately approves every single action of the Poverty and Homelessness Board, but that's just a single board of all the ones that we represent. And you all spend a lot of time in these board meetings, a lot of time, valuable time, and just hearing about it from time to time, I think is going to be valuable.
That's a good point. Thank you.
Absolutely. Mr. Chair, I have a motion. I move to approve Order 25010718 in the matter of appointing representatives to various committees and agencies as amended by Jessica or as
I would say maybe as they are currently assigned.
they're currently assigned, yeah.
Okay.
And I'll second that.
Okay. There's been a motion for order number 25010718 in the matter of appointing representatives to various committees and agencies as amended by Commissioner Senega, Vice Chair Senega, and seconded by Commissioner Buck. Any discussion to the motion? Seeing none, let's call for the vote. All those in favor signify with an aye.
Aye.
None opposed. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you very much. After that, we look to Mr. Mokrehysky, who's been patiently waiting in the wings for his announcements.
Thank you, Chair, Commissioners. Happy New Year to you all. We have a busy 2025 planned. We'll have next week as our leadership team kickoff on the budget. We're beginning work to develop a new strategic plan with the board and the organization and our community. A lot of projects in the pipeline. Three things that I just wanted to note here this morning. First, Commissioner Farr, appreciate your heads up you gave me before the meeting about your inquiry on the EPA grant, so I was able to connect with staff, and I'm happy to provide that update now that we finalized the grant agreement. This is for the EPA resiliency grant for approximately or exactly $19,555,386. Not that we're keeping track of that, but that nearly $20 million EPA grant for resiliency hubs. We finalized the agreement over the holidays, and that started a 21-day clock after which we can access those funds. So that 21-day clock ends this Friday, January 10th. So we can begin accessing those funds this Friday. Is the answer on January 10th.
May I ask a quick question, Chair?
Yes.
And so we're in compliance with all of the requirements of receiving the grant at this point in time, then?
That's my understanding. Yeah, I'm not aware that they're, but I will ask that question, but it's certainly my understanding that we're.
Grants that size usually have a whole basket of requirements.
We're hosting a Lane Regional Resilience Collaborative Partners meeting, actually project retreat next week to coordinate this project along with two other grant-funded resiliency projects for grid and transportation resilience. So we're also now working on putting the subcontracts in place, and the work will begin to get underway in this first quarter of 2025. So we'll keep you updated and provide updated reports to you on that. Second item I want to share with you is, you all heard the news that we're losing our elections director, our county clerk, Dina Dawson, who joined us in July of 2022. We were fortunate to have her services for over the past 2.5 years. She's leaving us. If she's going to leave Lane County, we're thankful that she's leaving us to become the Director of Elections for the state of Oregon. You will know, I will let you know that I have a meeting coming up with Secretary of State Tobias Reed, and so I will make our feelings about that. We'll provide some jokes certainly about it. I will say that, this isn't the first time that we've lost talented individuals, but I think it's a reflection, frankly, of the quality of people that we recruit and bring to this organization, that sometimes those folks are sought after. Patience Winningham Melcher was another example of that, of someone that we was, a diamond in the rough that we found at one of our partner agencies at the city, brought her to the county. She really flourished and did incredible work with our emergency management program, and now is the Deputy Director of the State Office of Emergency, or actually Department of Emergency Management now. So with Dina, we wish Dina all the best. She came to us from Nevada. If we had an insight, I worked closely with her boss in Douglas County, Nevada, and so we found her in that way, and we're able to bring her, and she just has done incredibly transformational things with our elections office that will continue to, the test of a true leader is not just how well their operation does while they're here, but how they set it up to be successful after they're gone. And I have every confidence that our elections office, great staff and work that is happening there and that is in progress, will continue to do great things. So Dina's last day is January 17th, next Friday. So if you see her, have an opportunity to reach out, please wish her the best, and we certainly will work with her in the future. Then I also want to mention both Commissioners Trieger and Commissioner Farr yesterday in your comments at the State of the County and your comments on your election talked about the importance of partnership with our city partners in particular and other agencies. I want to share with the board that we, once a month, this is a long-standing meeting. It's called SEL, and SEL is an acronym that stands for Springfield Eugene Lane. And it is this was a group that was meeting, was in place before I came to Lane County in 2014. Long history of bringing our metro city partners as well as Lane Transit District and LCOG together. So the city managers and staff of Eugene, Springfield, and Lane County, LCOG, and Lane Transit District meet once a month for breakfast, and we just talk about, particularly in the metro area and as larger public service organizations, how we can partner and work together. This Friday, we will be meeting at Lane County's Delta campus. We're hosting it at our emergency management, at our EOC, because we wanted to share, particularly with our cities, LCOG and LTD, that physical space. And if we can look back to just the ice storm of just about a year ago that happened, how critically we rely on our regional partners, particularly our metro partners. All of our cities are important partners, but our metro, Eugene and Springfield, have resources. They have staff, they have large law enforcement agencies, fire agencies, public works departments, staff resources, emergency management professionals that we can and should leverage to be able to support all of our communities outside of the metro area that don't have those same resources. So it's really important. So I just want to share that with you all, that our partnership with our cities, particularly in the metro area, around those areas where we can support the entire county at times of emergencies is really important. And so we'll be hosting that meeting on Friday at our Delta campus, and we'll keep you posted on those things. We also will be talking about our budget challenges. One of the topics will be budget challenges that all of us are facing and how we're looking at addressing those challenges. So those are my 3 updates for you today. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Mokryski. Commissioner Trieger.
Thank you. Thanks for that update, and that sounds like a great meeting for SEL to have to talk particularly, and to connect your 2 updates, the grid and transportation resilience folks that are going to join our Resiliency Hub sort of thought partnership. Who are those grid and transportation resiliency entities, and how might they be connected into this specifically emergency management work that the SEL is looking at?
Yeah, well, LTD is connected. I believe LCOG is part of the and eWeb and other utility agencies. Let me get a list of all of our agency partners on the grid and then on the transportation front, certainly LTD on the transportation front, and there may be others. So let me get a list of those. We'll have more conversation, I think, on Friday about that with the cell group, and then this retreat that we're hosting next week with the Resiliency Collaborative, which is a larger group of public and quasi-public agencies that are all partnering on that. So more to come on that, and let me get a list of the agencies that are involved in the grid and transportation.
And one of the reasons I'm asking, just to get a little more granular, is, when it's been over a year now since Peace Health closed University District Hospital, and of course, we're working to fill those gaps and make improvements to that system. But one of the big concerns that we often hear from folks on this side of the river is, in the event of a large seismic event, we won't have a hospital now. The point, however, is that building would have probably be a pile of rubble in the event of a large disaster. A lot of roads will be impassable. So we focus a lot on bridges to get across rivers in seismic events, but the grid impacts and access to basic care and hospital services, I imagine that's some of what will be discussed, right? That sort of how you bring the services to where people can get them rather than can people get to the services. Because in the event of a major seismic event, it's not just going to be everything standing except the bridges are down and now we can't get to and from the hospitals, right? So I'm really excited to hear what this group discusses, particularly around access to medical care and treatment in seismic events, because we've now had experience with ice and fire, but that's a big missing piece.
It looks like your excitement may be answered sooner than you think. Looks like Steve Adams is showing up to save the day.
And Mr. Adams certainly can provide some of that detail. See, staff's watching.
I know,
Even
right?
though they're not, right? We try not to
Came right
have
through the
a bunch
door.
of people sitting here just waiting for questions, but they're paying attention in case there are. I think this is a great topic for us to, in the new year, maybe later in the first quarter of this year, to bring actually a presentation as we start to get to the board. So let's look at doing that, a work session. Maybe we're talking about doing a series of work sessions throughout the course of the year, and this certainly would be a topic that is really important to do that. In the meantime, do you want to answer?
Indeed. Chair
Why don't you introduce yourself, Mr. Adams, so the
Commissioner,
public knows.
I'm Steve Adams. I'm the policy director. And Commissioner Trieger, I missed some of your question as I was running down the hall, but I think the question was to the point of who are the participants in the Lane Regional Resilience Collaborative. And so that has been a longstanding effort that began prior to the pandemic. The University of Oregon has been a participant in that. City of Veneta has been a strong participant. eWeb has been a participant in that. Florence, City of Florence has been a strong participant of that. That collaboration was actually a critical baseline component and a building block of our pandemic response. So that joint kind of incident command structure that we were able to I need to be in better shape. I'm trying to, yes. LTD is a partner there as well. And so when we were able to form that unified command, that was really helpful. At the conclusion of the pandemic, the Resilience Collaborative actually kind of changed its mode of operations to focus on the recovery funding that the administration and Congress were pushing out. And so we've been working pretty closely with a lot of our partners to look at the opportunity to secure funds. And LCOG was a key partner there as well. And so of the grants that we're looking at, the 19.5 for the EPA grant is being paired with about 5 million, 6 million or so for LCOG to do transportation resilience, which is looking at our metro area, but also rural Wayne County, and then our grid. So we got a separate technical assistance grant from the National Renewable Energy Laboratory that's worth about $5 million as well. So in total, it's about a $30 million package for us to look in concert at how to take care of our transportation, how to take care of our power supplies, and how to take care of our people. That really will form the core. And this will be a big piece of work with all of those partners and more over the next 3 years.
Thank you.
I'm just waiting for your heart rate to come down.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
I got to do more exercise.
People don't realize how many steps there are between your office and yours, so well done. Good job. Any other comments? Yes, Commissioner Farr.
And before Mr. Adams leaves, that's a great example of how the county can coordinate with cities on essential services that we all provide, making certain that we're doing them in uniformity as much as possible with the different approaches that cities have to have than the county has. This is a great moment in time. This moment today, January 7th, 2025, is a great moment for us to declare that we will be working more closely with our cities to make sure that every resource that we have is maximized to the best of our ability. That is a great report you just gave to us, Steve. Thank you very much.
Any other comments for our county administrator? Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Steve. Thank you. I feel like I'm repeating myself. Thank you both, Steves, for doing what you do and do so well. All right, we're looking at our time clock, and I noticed that Mr. Hurley and Mr. Orlandine are still in the audience, so I'm thinking maybe we could move ourselves into executive session as we need to. We have a need to recess from regular meeting into executive session. Allow me to read us in, please. The Board of County Commissioners will now meet in one executive session. The session is to consult with counsel concerning the legal rights and duties of a public body with regard to current litigation or litigation likely to be filed, and to consider information or records that are exempt by law from public inspection. This executive session is held pursuant to ORS 192.6602H and ORS 192.6602F, which allows the Board of Commissioners to meet in executive session for the purposes listed. Representatives of the news media and designated staff shall be allowed to attend the executive session. All other members of the audience are precluded from attending. Representatives of the news media are specifically directed not to report on any of the deliberations during the executive session except to state the general subject of the section as previously announced. Members of the news media are not allowed to tape, video record, or otherwise record an executive session. Verbatim notes are prohibited. No decision may be made in executive session. We will recess after this executive session and return to public session at 1:30 p.m. We will also assemble for this executive session. Let's call it at 10:25. We are recessed.